Greetings and salutations. I'm Jay Bird, and welcome to Classroom Film Strip Classics. Today's episode is the 1959 film strip The Innocent Party, directed by Herk Harvey and written by Margaret Travis. The film strip begins with a group of teens, and I use that term loosely, walking to a movie theater to catch a picture show. We meet two horn dogs, Don and Nicky, who are captivated by the sight of the two hussies, and you can tell they're hussies because they wear eye makeup and smoke foreign cigarettes. The freaky ladies catch Don and Nicky glancing their way, and the two dudes and their buddies follow them like dogs in heat. Don has second thoughts about getting into the car with the loose women and his buddies, but he does anyway, and the gang and their women are off for a wild night in the big city. The next night, we cut to Don and his steady girlfriend, Betty, leaving a teen social gathering. He tells his female chaperone that Betty has to be home before curfew, which is 11 o'clock. Don and Betty take the long way home and decide to pull over to the lover spot and have some alone time together. Time sure does fly by when you're having as much fun as Don is with sweet, innocent Betty. Those two lovebirds did the deed, but nobody looks like they enjoyed it. Don looks very guilty, and poor Betty's traumatized. We cut to high school the next day, or a day at work, and Don and Betty pass by each other without saying a word, while he bumps into Nicky, bragging about the wild time they had with the hussies the other night. Nicky jokes to Don about becoming a man the other night, and if he plans on making Betty a woman, but this angers Don, who tells him that she's not that kind of girl. Don asks Nicky if he thinks those hussies they picked up the other night might have a disease or something. This scares Nicky, who replies that they're just a couple of ladies looking for a good time. Don says that he has a sore down there and is worried about it, but Nicky tells him don't worry because he had one as well, but it just went away. Worried about the sore, Don visits his doctor to get a checkup. The doctor tells Don that he discovered the cause of his sore and tells him to look into the microscope. The doctor is straight with Don and tells him he has syphilis, which naturally freaks him out. He tells Don to stop his whining and belly aching because it's treatable in the early stages and admit that you got it from a dirty birdie and not from a toilet seat. The doctor then shows Don pictures of the sores, which makes him squeamish as he warns him about the dangers of venereal diseases and syphilis. Doc continues to educate the thick-headed Don about how the chancre sore is caused by a microvirus and how it enters the bloodstream from an infected person through sexual activity and into its victims. Don has to make a contact list and quickly names Barbara Myers, but the doctor isn't convinced that he's the only one that he had sexual contact with and reminds him that the list is confidential. Knowing that Don is protecting somebody, the doctor shows him what untreated syphilis can do to people and its horrific side effects. Don asks the doctor if an infected woman can show more symptoms besides in the genital area, and he shows him what they are. The doctor shows Don how late stages of untreated syphilis can cause madness, and in a pregnant woman, it can either kill the baby or give it horrific birth defects. He tells Don that if there is no other girl to add to the list, then he shouldn't have to worry about it because he's not protecting anybody. Don tells the doctor that he's going to have to think about telling him the other girl's name because he doesn't want to ruin her reputation. I guess dying from syphilis is a better option. The next day, Betty and Don cross paths again at school, but she ignores him while he prays that she doesn't have the clap. All throughout the school day, Don keeps hearing the doctor's voice in his head about how dangerous untreated syphilis can be, but he doesn't want to out Betty and ruin her chaste reputation. He spends the rest of the afternoon brooding like a normal teenager about the fate of Betty's good name. Don finally cracks and reveals Betty's name to the doctor, who gives her an examination, but she's still not talking to him. The doctor tells them both that they have syphilis and it needs to be treated immediately, but Betty is still pissed at Don for not only taking her virginity, but for giving her the clap. Don tries to apologize to Betty, but she's not hearing any of it, and the doctor says at least he told you that he had VD because a lot of guys wouldn't say anything, and everything will be fine and dandy after the treatment. Betty says, I may be better after the treatment, but right now I'd rather be dead. And the doctor tells her that you feel like that right now, but tomorrow you'll want to be cured. The film strip ends with a devastated Dawn, a broken Betty, and a neutron-bombed end of a relationship. This educational film was one of the first of its kind to be aimed specifically for teenagers and adolescents, and it was commissioned by the Kansas State Board of Health. The Innocent Party was directed by Herk Harvey, a Kansas filmmaker who worked exclusively in industrial movies and made over 400 educational films during his career. But Herk Harvey is best known for his highly influential 1962 horror film Carnival of Souls, which he made during his 2-week vacation from his day job at Centron Productions. As you can tell in the short, Harvey's stylized direction, which he used in Carnival of Souls, can be seen here in its embryonic phase. An interviewer once asked Harvey about how come he only made one film, and he replied, I made hundreds of them. Sadly, Herk Harvey never made any money from his only feature film, The Carnival of Souls. The production company went bankrupt, and few people watched it in the theaters, and it slowly fell into the public domain. During the last years of his life, the film became a cult classic, and he supervised the restoration of The Carnival of Souls before he died. Harvey always viewed this film as a blessing and a curse. Thanks for watching another episode of Classroom Film Strip Classics. I'm Jay Bird, and I'll see you next time. Take care now. Bye.